welcome to this mini lecture. This is basically just going to act as a source for you guys in terms of writing your midterm research paper. I've been having a lot of questions over the last few days, so I just wanted to make sure, rather than emailing you all back, and you never know if you if my emails quite explain what needs to get across. So I wanted to make this little mini lecture to help you guys think about how you will write those papers and actually come up with two legitimate sources as part of those papers. So I basically wanted to start, first of all, by explaining what a peer-reviewed source is, because a lot of students are wondering about this, and it's part of the instructions that these need to be peer-reviewed, they need to be legitimate sources. So basically, by peer-reviewed, a peer review of an essay or a book or an article is something that has been reviewed by the experts in a certain field. So for instance, if you find a book on Andy Warhol or something like that, and you're doing your paper on one of his pieces, that book would, if it was peer-reviewed, that means that all the experts, all the people who write about and research Andy Warhol, that the book has been reviewed by some of the people, the top people in the field, so that it brings much more legitimacy to that source. So we know that, for instance, we know that people aren't just making up stuff about Andy Warhol, right? They're actually, everything is historically grounded and correct. The reason why it's important that we use peer review sources is that otherwise I oftentimes have students citing sites like Wikipedia and finding personal blogs by people, personal websites, and quoting those websites, and that's not a legitimate source because it's an opinion. Most of those are just the opinion of whoever's writing the blog, and of course Wikipedia can be great in the fact that it can lead you to a primary source and a peer-reviewed source, but it's not going to be a good source because, as we all know, anyone can go in and edit the site. So please try to stick away from those blogs, Wikipedia, personal websites, and so forth, because that information is not going to be necessarily a legitimate source. So you have to have two sources. You can use your book. I encourage you to use your book. That can be one of your sources. In the past, I've told students that they can't use it as one of their sources, but I know that a lot of people like to use it. So I'm going to allow you to do that here. But please, if you are using your book, make sure that you're at least getting a second really good source as well. And you know what? It's even better if you use your book plus two good sources. It's really not that hard to find sources. But I know a lot of people are struggling because this is new, so that's why I've created this lecture to hopefully help you out. One more thing I wanted to get into before I actually show you how to search is I wanted to, let's see, I had a question about the image. So you have to include the image of the artwork that you're going to be analyzing at the top of your paper. So basically all you have to do here is copy and paste a high resolution image, like something you find on Google Images if you want to, at the top of your paper. And, it can be just as wide as the margins of the paper. It doesn't have to be any bigger. It shouldn't be very small. Just make sure that I can see it, that I can make it out. But also make sure that you know that the image is not included in the final page count, limit. So remember, it's a 2 to 3 page about paper, and if you have a full page that is an image, that won't count towards your final paper, okay? So if you have an image that takes up a full page, make sure that you still have 2.5 to 3, 2 or 3 pages of text as well. All right, so now let's get into sources. So let's say that I'm researching a painting by Andy Warhol. I'll just use him as or I should maybe do a more obscure one so I'll just use the same source just in case. Maybe we will look up, let me think here, who do I want to try? I don't know. I guess I guess I will just put in Egon Schiele, an Austrian painter. So here I am at the UTRGV library site. You all have access to this. And let me just see what comes up, but just by putting a overall search in, by putting in the artist's name. All right, cool. So look at this already. The library looks like it has at least 2 or more, 3, 4, a bunch of books about this particular artist. So that's wonderful, right? So this is a great source. All you'd have to do is click here. You see it says that it's available. It's in Edinburgh at the Stacks on the 3rd floor. Here's the number. And if you want more information, it brings up more information. And the other thing that you could do is you can have the code sent to your phone, which I think is always nice. You can also press request, and you can put in your campus ID and everything like that, and the people on campus will go and find it and bring it to the circulation desk for you. So that's really nice. The other thing that you can do from here basically is just go in, write down that number, and it's really kind of hard sometimes for students to find books in the library, especially if you've never used a library before. So you could just go and literally go up to the circulation desk and ask the librarian. That is their job. That's what they're there for. So go up and use them. They're super nice and they will help you find these books. So these are really great sources already just in that main search. So that was pretty easy, right? Well, the other way that we can find a lot of great sources is by going into Find, clicking on Databases from A to Z. Whoops, I wanted to go A to Z. And here, I like to go ahead and look in Jstor. So click on J, find Jstor, and then it's going to reconnect you. You have to sign in again. Reconnect you to an external website, which is basically a website full of digitized journals, primary sources, and books. It's a really great source. It's, it's actually paid for. The university subscribes to it using your tuition money, so it's really great. You should use it all the time if you're ever doing research. So here I'm going to put in Egon Schiele again, same painter. Just press click. Great, so here's a bunch of other articles by him, or not by him, I'm sorry, about him. So here's one, Figure of Doubt and Desire. It's written in 2013, let's check it out. You can click on it here, and then it will literally just pop up for you. Oh, wonderful, look at this, it's great. So you can go from page to page, it might not be all about him, but it at least mentions him. Here are some of his drawings. So it at least mentions him in the work. So, you can find whatever the author says about him and perhaps use it. And the other nice thing here, let me find another source too. Keep going down. A lot of these are usually book reviews as well. So, if you see that you had one of them that says a review, it means that it's a review of this book, Egon Schiele, Art, Sexuality, and Viennese Modernism. And perhaps you just type that book into the UTRGV library database and you'll be able to find that book. These are all reviews of that book. But let me take a look again. Here's another article from 1997. And here again, there it is, all about the artist. And the nice thing about these is if you're wondering, okay, how do I cite this? Well, it has this really handy little button here that says Cite the Item. Click on it and it shows you how to cite it in all 3 formats, MLA, APA, and Chicago. Reminder here, you can use any of these. You can decide which one you want to use. Maybe you already know MLA, go ahead and use MLA. Traditionally in art history, we actually use Chicago, but I'm really open to whatever you want to use. I don't want to make you learn a new style just for this reason. But this is a really nice, easy way to get a perfect citation for you. Okay, so that I just showed you 2 really great databases, places to find places to find legitimate sources that are peer-reviewed. But you can look all the way up and down. This is a huge list of different databases that have all sorts of articles in them waiting for you. Humanities full text. This is a great one too. So here again, let me put in my artist's name. Egon Schiele. Look, great, another written piece from an academic journal. Here it is. And once again, the citation, I think that it has a cite link here too. So it shows you how to cite APA, MLA, all that kind of good stuff. And then your article's down here. I think you can actually get it in a PDF form as well. But anyway, PDF full text right here. So it's really wonderful. And again, these are great resources. It's all online for you. And even though these are online, they still are printed journals that are just digitized, so they count as a printed source. And they're really wonderful sources. The other question that I had from a few people is, okay, I found 2 books about my artist or the painting or whatever. Now, how do I use them? Well, you don't have to just, quote the artist or something like that. You can use these in a variety of ways. So you don't have to, if it's hard to find something about your artist, what you can do, for instance, if you're writing about an artist who's working during the civil rights movement in America, you could look up books about the civil rights movement and have that be one of your sources, and then write about the context. Because, of course, every artwork does have a context. So the artist is working within the civil rights movement. You should probably write a little bit about what they're going through at the time, the things that were happening. So you can certainly use a book that's just about the civil rights movement. Of course, you can find books that are specifically about the artwork you're looking at. You can also find books that are biographies of the artist. So perhaps there's a biography about Egon Schiele and his life that has nothing to do with the work that you decided to write about. That's okay, because you should, of course, be writing about the artist as well as part of that greater context. Maybe you find a book about the style or the movement that your artist is a part of. All of these things are ways that you can use sources within your written work. So I hope this helps you. Please let me know if you have other questions. Again, I just explored 3 databases, and there are hundreds more. So please just take a look through. As I said, all of these are paid for by the university using your tuition money. So it's a really great resource. I mean, look at all these. Abesco Host is another great one. I'm not going to go through all these, but you can see that these are really good ones as well. But basically, take your time, take a look through here, see what you can find, and please do let me know if you have questions. And of course, go into the library. Artful Text is another great one for these types of resources. Go to the library, talk to librarians if you're having a really hard time. And again, if you know that you have a hard time with writing, please use the Writing Center. There's a Writing Center on campus. They have a website that you can find through utrgv.edu. If you search for the Writing Center, you can send them your paper. They'll proofread it for you, just to make sure that you're, getting in the best paper that you possibly can before taking a well-deserved spring break. All right, so let me know if you have other questions, students. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this helps a lot. Have a great spring break.